Welcome to this explainer. You know, if building French sentences ever feels like you're trying to put together a massive puzzle, but somebody hid the picture on the box, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're completely demystifying French sentence structure. We're going to break it down into 3 foundational building blocks so you can construct really vibrant, expressive sentences step by step. By the end of this, you won't just be memorizing lists of words. You'll literally be engineering language. So let's get into it. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Mastering first group verbs. 2. Important verb spelling quirks. 3. Reflexive verbs, also known as the mirror. And 4. Setting the scene with CCL. Starting right off with section 1, mastering first group verbs, the core engine. Okay, let's dive into this. First group verbs are, honestly, incredibly straightforward. Basically, their unconjugated or infinitive form just ends in the letters ER. Think of super common words like jouer, to play, manger, to eat, or écouter, to listen. They all share that exact same ER ending. Now, there is one famous rebel you gotta remember, and that's the verb aller, which means to go. Even though it ends in ER, it behaves completely differently and actually belongs to the third group. But for the thousands of other ER verbs out there, they all follow one beautifully predictable pattern. And here is that foolproof formula. It's kind of like a math equation. You just drop the ER from the infinitive and plug in specific endings based entirely on who is doing the action. Check out the pattern. It's an for je, a s for to, all the way down to a ent for ils and elles. Let's apply it to a classic. Parler, to speak. Je parle, tu parles, il parle, nous parlons, vous parlez, il parle. Once you memorize this single, simple list of endings, you instantly, literally instantly, know how to conjugate the vast majority of verbs in the entire French dictionary. It is absolutely that repeatable. Moving right along to section 2, important verb spelling quirks, nuances and meanings. Now, what's really interesting here is that even perfect formulas have tiny, quirky exceptions. But don't worry, these spelling changes aren't there to trick you. The French language is just, well, obsessed with sounding pretty. Take manger. If we just added the normal O and S for new, it would be spelled M-A-N-G-O-N-S, which forces a hard G sound, mangos. Nobody wants that. So to keep that nice, soft G, French smartly keeps the E, giving us nous mangeons. Makes perfect sense, right? Then look at promener and préférer. The accents actually shift to an accent grave, that's the one pointing down to the right, just to change the spoken vowel sound to an open A. Je promène, je préfère. And for appeler, to call, we double the L for j'appelle, just to give the word its proper spoken rhythm. But wait, there's more. Verbs can actually have double identities based entirely on context. Take the verb voler. You could say l'oiseau vole, meaning the bird flies. But if you say le voleur vole une voiture, that means the thief steals a car. It's the exact same verb, the exact same spelling, but a completely different action. The context around the verb is what really dictates its true meaning. And this is a crucial distinction that perfectly bridges us to our next major building block. If I say promener le chien, that means to walk the dog. You're doing the action to an outside object, right? But se promener literally means to walk oneself. You're doing the action to yourself. Which brings us to section 3, reflexive verbs, the mirror. In French, these are called verbes pronominaux. Simply put, these are verbs conjugated with a reflexive pronoun placed right before the action. The key takeaway here is that the person performing the action is also the person receiving it. The action turns inward. For instance, if I say Marie se lave, Marie is the one doing the washing, and Marie is also the one being washed. She is washing herself. The best way to think about this is to imagine a mirror. When you stand in front of a mirror, your own image is reflected right back at you, right? In grammar, a reflexive pronoun works exactly the same way. The action of the verb bounces off the pronoun and reflects right back onto the subject. So the crucial point is this very simple 3-step formula. To build a reflexive sentence, you don't just need a subject and a verb. You need a bit more. Step 1, the subject. Step 2, the reflexive pronoun, which is basically the mirror itself. And step 3, the conjugated verb, which is the action. Let's actually map these out using our trusty first group verb endings from a minute ago. Let's look at the verb se laver, to wash oneself. Notice that middle piece. Those are your mirrors. For je, the pronoun is me. Je me lave, I wash myself. For tu, it's te. Tu te lave. For il or elle, it's se. Il se lave. Honestly, my favorite part is that nous and vous just duplicate themselves. Nous lavons, you literally say we wash. Vous lavez. And ils or elles go back to using se. Il se lave. Oh, and a quick side note, if the verb happens to start with a vowel, like appeler, those pronouns drop the e and swap in an apostrophe, so you get je m'appelle, which quite literally translates to I call myself. Just to completely hardwire this into your brain before we move on, this loop is the core identity of a reflexive verb. Subject to action and right back to the subject. It's an endless, self-contained little loop of grammar. Let's wrap things up with section 4, setting the scene with CCL. Okay, please don't let the long grammatical terms scare you. Complément circonstanciel de lieu, or CCL for short, simply indicates where the action happens. That's it. It grounds our sentence in the physical world by telling us the location, destination, origin, or direction of our verb. So how do you actually find the CCL in a sentence, or figure out what information you need to add? You put on your detective hat and you ask, où, d'où, par où, and vers où. So that's where, from where, by where, and towards where. If I say, je vais à l'école, I go to school, I just ask my detective question. Où, where? To school. À l'école is your CCL. Boom, easy. Now, to answer those detective questions, you need these tiny, essential connecting words called prepositions. You've got your basics like à for at or to, or dans for in or inside. Then you have your spatial pairs, like sur and sous for on and under, or devant and derrière for in front of and behind, and entre is between. Think of these as the geographical coordinates for your sentence. Let's move along and see how this builds your toolkit even further. We have près de for near, loin de for far from. A really uniquely French one is chez, which means at someone's house or at their place of business. En is used for being inside certain countries or modes of transport. De is from, vers is toward, and par is through or by. Armed with all these little words, you can literally place your subject anywhere in the universe. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the absolute best features of the CCL. It is incredibly modular. Check out these two sentences. Dans le jardin, les enfants jouent. In the garden, the children play. And les enfants jouent dans le jardin. The children play in the garden. You can take that entire phrase dans le jardin and just snap it onto the front or the back of your sentence without breaking the structural integrity at all. It gives you so much flexibility in how you naturally express yourself. Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground today. We learned the ER verb engine, we explored the mirror of reflexive pronouns, and we just learned how to build a stage using the CCL. So here is my final challenge to you. Can you take everything you just learned and combine it? How would you translate, I walk myself in the park? Think about the subject, je, the reflexive pronoun for je, that ER verb, promener, and the preposition for in. Think about how all these layers stack perfectly on top of one another to create real meaning. If you can build that one sentence, you honestly hold the keys to thousands of others. So I leave you with this. Now that you have the engine, the mirror, and the stage, what story are you going to tell in French?